my name is Kayla, and I've decided that I'm going to start documenting my gynecologist appointments because I am now being evaluated for endometriosis and adenomyosis. So the whole reason I'm sharing my journey is because when I found out that it was a possibility of me having endo, I tried, looking up information on Reddit, just Google, YouTube, Instagram, stuff like that, TikTok. I tried looking up information on that, and I didn't really see a lot of people that looked like me talking about their experiences, and their experiences were also valid. I'm not saying it wasn't. It's just I live in the USA, so I need that comfort and validation and information from Black women, especially being this young. I definitely needed that. So me sharing my experience, hopefully that gives more information and more exposure to this issue, because we really need this. Like, the medical system isn't really on our side. I really need that information out there. I need to help somebody. So I'm going to be documenting and making a whole series about this, like, throughout my journey in real time. Tomorrow, May 11th, 2026, is my consultation, and then I will also be posting a video about the questions I have asked or will be asking my gynecologist, so stay tuned for that. So to kind of start off, like, why I'm even documenting this, mostly just to look back on, like, later on if I ever get, answers. But I think it'll just, be a journey and learning thing for people like me. I did not expect for my health to go this way at the age of 25, but here we are. I got my first period at 10. I always had painful periods. I thought that was normal because, everyone in my family, like, the women, they were saying, oh yeah, like, I have bad periods, everything. Like, that was just something I thought was expected. So I was like, okay, yeah, like, heavy periods, like, or painful periods, like, that's just a normal thing. So throughout the years, it got a lot worse. So I was 10, I started at 10. I had heavy periods that I would bleed through my clothes and I would have clots. Me still, 10 years old, I think that's normal. So I, didn't say too much about it. I had the normal symptoms of just bloating, cramping, migraine, fatigue, which I thought that was just going to happen for the rest of my life. I thought that was normal. I thought that was it. That was not it. Moving, like, a little towards my teenage years, I started getting really bad, like, really bad symptoms. Like, I was not someone that called out of school. I didn't stop going to work. And it got to the point, I remember being a junior, I believe, in high school. And I went to school one day, like, that morning. I remember telling my parents, hey, I don't feel great. Like, my period started. I don't feel great. I don't think I should go. But, I was like, you know what? Let me just stop being dramatic and go to school. So my best friend at the time, we were in class together. She saw me visibly shaking and I did not look well. So she called my parents and told them to come pick me up. Turns out I had a cyst on my ovaries that ruptured during my period. Extremely painful if you've ever been through that. Very, very painful. So, and this was after I got on birth control. I got on birth control pills at 14. So this was after I got on birth control to help with my periods because they started getting bad. So that happens. I have the cyst, it ruptures, and I think, okay, that was just a one-off chance thing. And granted, I don't believe I've had any cysts on my ovaries or anything since then. So I kept it pushing. So come around 2023, I'm already prone to migraines. I was having really bad migraines, like, probably 3 or 4 times a month, like, back to back to back. It was very hard to get any kind of relief for that. So I ended up, when I went to a university, I transferred from a community college to a university. So I end up transferring and I moved to that city and I see a doctor there. So I see the doctor, I'm telling her, hey, I get these really bad migraines. I've tried being on this medication because my primary doctor, gave it to me, and it was very expensive. So obviously a college student, I couldn't afford that. So she's like, oh, well, what birth control pills do you take? You know, she's getting all the history of like whatever I take. And I tell her, oh, yeah, I'm on the pill. And she was like, do you have, you know, problems with like your vision during your migraines? I'm like, yeah, I start to feel nauseous. I have thrown up once or twice at the time I had. And I feel faint. And she was like, oh, yeah, well, the pill, it increases your risk of stroke if you have migraines with aura, which you do. And I was like, oh, didn't I know that? Cool. She recommends me to stop the pill, and probably a week later, I go ahead and schedule an appointment to get a hormonal IUD. That's a whole nother story for another day, but if you want my experience on that, you can drop a comment below. So I get the IUD, and of course, you know, they tell you you have cramping. I had that cramping, minor breakouts, whatever, and I still had my period at the time. So my periods end up becoming lighter. I'm like, cool, you know, this IUD thing might be working out for me. Yeah, insertion sucks, but it's gonna last 5 years. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to, you know, change it out. I just have to remember in 5 years, I just have to get a new one. That's cool, great. My periods are getting lighter. So I start having these extremely excruciating cramps from 2023 when I got the IUD to like current day. Even before I got the IUD, I know it's not the IUD because even before the IUD, I would get these extremely bad cramps, like even when I was not on my period, just throughout random days in my cycle, I would get excruciating cramps that felt like my pelvis was being crushed. Like my pelvis felt like it was being crushed. My torso area, my lower back, my hips, my legs, my ankles, like it felt like someone was just like dropping stones on them, stabbing me in my gut. It was awful, like to the point where I actually would have to lay on the ground. I would be sobbing, throwing up at this point, sobbing, throwing up, crying, trying to get my pelvis to stop hurting. So I was like, okay, that can't be normal. I kept getting my IUD checked out, like, hey, is it like, you know, being expelled from my uterus? Like, what is going on? Because this is extreme, like to the point where it was hard for me to walk. I couldn't sleep at night because it hurt so bad. It would just happen randomly. I would be driving and almost crash my car because I cannot see. Like my vision would start going out because I thought I was going to pass out during these episodes. I felt awful. So, you know, obviously I told you everybody in my family that had periods, that was normal for them. I expected to have, you know, bad periods, whatever, that's, you know, the joys of being a woman, but I did not ever suspect that I would have something serious. So I knew there's a history of fibroids on both sides of my family. Every single woman has had it. So I kind of thought, oh yeah, you know, there's an off chance like around my early 30s, I'll start having those problems and have to get a hysterectomy. I did not think that in my early 20s, I would start dealing with those kinds of issues. I finally get a new gynecologist where I was living, in the city I was living in. And she says, you know, with all the symptoms, I'm going to clinically diagnose you with endometriosis. It sounds like you have endometriosis and possibly adenomyosis. If you want the description of those conditions, I can put them either on the screen or like in the description. So she gives me the clinical diagnosis because technically with endometriosis, you can't diagnose it unless you go in for a laparoscopic surgery, which I actually am now. So that'll actually be tomorrow. The consultation will be tomorrow for that. So she tells me, yeah, we're going to try you on this medication that we prescribe to people with endometriosis, see if it helps. If it does, great, we'll just push back on surgery. If not, then we're going to set you up for a consultation. This was in January of 2026, this year. So I got the medication and it actually started working for me. And I was like, okay, great. You know, I won't need the surgery. Like if I do have endometriosis, then cool. Like I can just stay on this medication for 2 years because there's a huge risk of bone density loss or whatever. So I was thinking, you know, I could stay on the medication for the 2 years, and then, you know, I could probably try like some pelvic floor therapy or whatever after that. I don't have to get a surgery. All hell breaks loose in the end of January. I was driving to work in the city that I lived in at the time, and it's like a 45-minute drive from my house. I was probably 15 minutes into my drive. I had that bad feeling again, where like that cramping, pain in my legs. I could not breathe. I thought I was gonna throw up. I thought I was gonna pass out while I was driving. I was on the interstate. I made it to work on time, and I still clocked in like an hour late because I was on the floor at work crying because I was in so much pain. So I call my gynecologist again. I'm like, hey girl, this is not working anymore. So she ended up having me meet with her nurse practitioner. We talked about all the symptoms and everything, and she's now saying, hey, we're gonna get you a consultation for this surgery because it sounds like you're getting worse. I probably started the medication like right before the endometriosis or adenomyosis got to the point where it would not help me. So I probably started it too late, but of course we didn't know the extent of whatever's going on. We still don't know yet until this surgery. So I have a consult with the nurse practitioner. The consult for the surgery is going to be tomorrow, May 11th of 2026. So I will be seeing my actual gynecologist tomorrow, and I'm gonna have a list of questions that I'm gonna ask her, a lot of prep that I have to do, and just a lot of stuff. That's what I have to do. So my whole reason for recording all of this is because I'm going to start making a series called Diagnosing the Pain, where you follow me in real time for my appointments, the surgery itself, the post-op, pre-op, all that stuff, what I'm buying, just in case I have to do an overnight stay. I'm doing all of that because a lot of people on the internet that have given their, you know, their perspective on everything don't look like me as a Black woman, and I really needed that when I was going through, you know, the research stage of this. I'm hoping that I can actually help somebody by putting out my experiences, my perspective on this. So if you're interested, go ahead and just follow me on TikTok at Not Faking Chronic, same username as my YouTube. And I'm gonna be posting there and here, YouTube shorts, YouTube videos, TikTok shorts, or reels, whatever they are, whatever they're called. I don't know. I'm not really good with social media. If you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe, follow, leave a comment, share, and help your girl out. This is my new series called Diagnosing the Pain. Follow, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Bye.